And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon. Today, I am talking with Ryan Weiss. Ryan, thanks for squeezing me into your schedule, man.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Michael. It's my pleasure.
Well, you're welcome. It's going to be a really fun conversation. So Ryan, as you'll find out here in just a minute, he's been a traveler around the world. I think he told me his kids went to, if I'm right, 5 different schools before they hit high school. And these were schools around the world in different places because of his corporate background. But then he decided he was done with that, started his own company, and he helps businesses fuel growth and drive profitability through alignment of their people and processes and things. He'll say it a lot better than I did. But Ryan, thanks for being here. Tell us as we get started, how in the world did you get to doing what you do today?
Yeah, so I'll give you the condensed version here, but okay. I actually started my first business when I was 16 years old, when I was in high school. My youngest brother is still running that business today. So I was very entrepreneurial at a very young age, paid my way through college with that, and always had a passion to get back to that. But I went to school for chemistry and finance, got into a big corporation, big multinational chemical company, spent almost 17 years there. Moved around the world, moved 7 times in those 17 years. We moved to Asia and back twice. And they wanted us to move to Germany. I was in Germany. I said yes. I called my wife. I said, "Are we really doing this?" She was still in the Philippines at the time. And we're like, "I don't know. It's time. Maybe let's move the kids back by family." And so I ended up calling back and saying, "You know what? We're going to move back to the States." And so it's been almost 6.5 years ago that I left the corporate world, started what began as a consulting company, just myself doing consulting work for a variety of clients on process and people and this alignment. And there have been a number of ups and downs I'm sure we could talk about over the past 6.5 years, especially with things like COVID and all the things that come with a startup company.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great experience, but it's been almost 6.5 years since I launched and went out on my own.
Isn't that crazy? 6.5 years. You're still, if you're like me, I've been doing mine over a decade, and I still feel like I'm in startup mode some days, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's I've got 10 employees now, and it's still like there's these moments you go through of we've got things figured out. Oh no, we've got a lot of stuff to figure out, and it's that balance every day of navigating that. So
it is, yeah. And if you're watching the video, you can see in the background the rocket ship. And when I first hopped on here, I'm like, okay, what's the rocket ship? And I'm going to let you kind of explain. You got your 5 Ps there and everything. Let's talk about this alignment, the growth through alignment, because a lot of businesses, small or large, they're really not aligned. And I think a lot of that has to do with us as entrepreneurs, because alignment and process is not my strong suit, Ryan. I've got a son who works in my business, and it's his. So he's bringing alignment and processes. I'm causing havoc. Talk to us about the rocket ship, your 5 Ps. How does that work for a small startup business or a very established business? What's going on there?
Absolutely. So the clarity around this really came about a little bit over 2 years ago. I went to something called the Purpose Summit, and I'm a process person, and I think to build on your point that many entrepreneurs are sort of either a visionary or they're an integrator type person, right? There are some models out there around that, and when you really look at there's consultants who do like human resources, organization development type. They really focus on the people, right? And there are Lean Six Sigma type folks that are really focused only on process. And what became really clear to me over the last 20 years, and it becomes more and more clear every day, is that intersection, that integration of people and process is really what needs to happen to have effective results. That if you bring great people, if you recruit the best people into your business, but you have terrible processes, those people are going to get frustrated. If you identify the best ideal client profile and you go and you get that client and you bring them into your, as a client, and you have bad processes, that ideal client's going to leave you.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at your people and say, all right, how do I give them good processes that enable them to be successful, whether it's a customer, an employee, a vendor.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we've got to think about it the other way. Folks who view the world through the sort of lens of process need to appreciate that people have to engage with the process. You can create an ideal, amazing process. You can create, you can make a wall full of, all of the interactions and decision points, all these things. But if people don't engage with the process well, then it's wasted. So it comes out of this sort of simple thing. It's people without process get frustrated. Process without people is wasted. And that, that's where I live, I'm passionate about this sweet spot of the intersection of people and process. So that was a little bit long, but the concept of this rocket ship came from thinking about, all right, how does this all work together in a model? And I actually launched a book very early this year called From Orangutan to Rocket Scientist. It's about this P5 rocket concept that the purpose is where are you going and why? That's the nose cone. Okay. Your product is your payload, or what value do you create for stakeholders? That's your product. The next one down there is your performance. Your performance metrics. How do you measure where you're at, and are you on track to where you're going? Are you aligned with your purpose? Are you aligned with that value creation? And then the next one down is people. And those people have to be able to see clearly, how is our performance aligned? How do we create value? Where are we going and why are we going there? And they have to be able to see that. The final piece, the bottom of the rocket ship, is process. And so the statement or the sentence that I sort of use, the mantra, if you will, is that process should enable your people to perform, to create value, and ultimately fulfill your organization's purpose. Whatever that purpose is, whether it's making profit, for the sake of profit, or whether it's being a charitable organization that's giving back to the community. At the end of the day, clearly aligned processes, it really should only be an enabler of people to perform, create that value, and fulfill that purpose, whatever that stated purpose is. And that alignment of these things is really what's critical. And in my experience and work with dozens, maybe hundreds of organizations now, looking at how do you create high-performing teams that fulfill some purpose, whatever that defined purpose is. And this is the passion that I have, is helping people and process get that line.
It doesn't show, Ryan, at all that you're passionate about this. Okay, come on. I love people like you because you just exude what you do. And you hit a lot of things there. One of my, we all have pet peeves in life, right? One of my pet peeves, especially in business, is the word scale. Everybody's out there talking about, you can scale your business to 8 figures. And I debunk that. It's like, well, no, you aren't going to, because you don't have systems, processes, and you're going to be the bottleneck that chokes your business, right? And provides terrible customer service because you don't have processes in place. You're not monitoring them. You don't have the right people, all of that. So you're speaking my language, right? Yeah. What you just described is really cool. And the picture of the rocket ship is unique. I love that because I'm always looking. I read the One Thing book, and it's great. And he has a picture of an iceberg. Okay, I'm visual. I grabbed that. I'm like, that's good. The rocket ship's really cool. It's like, oh, that makes sense to know where I fit in and how do I bring alignment? Because I don't think that rocket would work really well if the middle section, the payload section, was kind of off to the side and off. It probably wouldn't work very well. How do you work with people, business owners, when they come to you? I mean, is there a diagnostic tool you use, or is it just Q&A? How do you get them to realize, oh, because business owners always think the answer is marketing and sales. It's not always the answer. Those usually are factors, but as you said, you can have all the sales and marketing in the world, but if your processes aren't working right, or if your people aren't the right people, you're not going to deliver the right product and service in, right? So just talk, what's going through the mind of the business owner, let's say before he reaches out to you, what's he experiencing them? And we'll use business owner because that's my audience, but it could be not. what's going on in their heart, their head, and they're going, "Arr."
Yeah. Listen, I've come to two questions that I typically ask business owners. And one is, what pain do you experience when people don't follow your process? And when business owners start to reflect on that question and they think about those hours of lost sleep, I mean, there's no doubt, like you said, revenue is sort of that first thing. If I'm a business owner, if my revenue keeps growing, I have a good friend who just sold his business a few years ago for $750 million. And he said, his statement that resonated in my mind was, he said, revenue will cover a lot of sins, was sort of his quote, right? It was like, if you have more revenue, you can fix a lot of the process things. You could take care of those things. But he also appreciated, and as you look at these things, what pain do you experience when people don't follow your process? And when business owners think about the moments when they lay awake at night, or what wakes them up in the morning, and they're like, you know what? I just lost this customer. I lost a great employee. I've got a client right now. They've got a lot of experienced employees, and they're like, a few of them are going to retire, and all of their knowledge is in their heads. That's what keeps them awake at night. It's like, what happens when people don't follow your process? The second thing, so what pain do they experience in that? The second question I ask is, what pain does it cause your organization when your processes break down? So those two questions, one of them is internal. They start thinking about, what pain do I experience when people don't follow the process? The other is somewhat external, and the answers I get align with these, internal, what pain am I experiencing? How's this hurting me? And then when I ask that second one, what pain does it cause your organization when your processes break down? And they start telling me about lost customers and employee frustration and all of these things that are sort of external. When they start taking those things to heart, the pain and the frustration that's building because either they don't have processes or people aren't following the processes that they have, when they start sort of thinking through and being able to articulate what that pain looks like, that really becomes a fruitful conversation about, all right, what can we do to help you get there?
Yeah, that's beautiful. And those are two pain points that every business owner struggles with, right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of what you do, entrepreneurs don't want to do. Okay. Honestly, my son is my chief operating officer. He's my integrator. He is my Ryan, right?
Yeah.
But what I've learned, Ryan, is as the visionary, as the founder, this is my company, right? I have to submit to his systems. Otherwise, it does impact my organization.
Yeah.
And I get called on the carpet. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. Because I have to hold my business out. It's separate from me, right? The E-Myth I read years ago.
Yeah.
You hold your business out. It runs on systems, processes, people. That's how it should be. I think a lot of business owners aren't. They're high-paid employees because they don't have processes in place. They don't have the people to run those processes. They don't have the key performance indicators. They don't have those things.
Mm-hmm.
Which is okay. It's all right. But you help business owners find that clarity to get those aha moments and to say, okay, let's get your rocket ship up into orbit wherever you want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You might not be going to Mars. You might want to go to Pluto, or you might just want to go to the moon, whatever.
Yeah.
How do we help you get there? Is that a fair assessment?
What 100%. And by the way, I mean, I think all of us, every one of us, right? I come at the world through process, right? That's sort of my gut instinct. Like, I'll just look at it. All right, how do I solve the process? You look at it and say, all right, how do I visionary? How do I solve the people? So we understand where our strengths and weaknesses are in terms of these things. And for me, as I've grown to a team of 10 employees now, it's those systems that I focus on, but I also appreciate that it's about the development of the team to get that alignment. So we're doing, it's one thing for me to consult with another company and say, all right, here's how you do this. Here's what you do. Yeah. It's another thing, as we've built our own software platform, as we have a BPO outsourced services team that helps our clients, as we're building all of these things, I also have this responsibility of leading my team and actually doing the stuff that I'm preaching and making sure that I'm not just out there saying, this is what you should do, but I'm looking at it with my team and saying, all right, let's look at this authentically. Are we living what we're preaching, right? Are we living what we're talking about? And this is a regular conversation in our own organization.
Yeah. And that's so important. It's funny. My son, Caleb, and I had this conversation yesterday because we meet twice a week as part of the process, right? And we were talking about a new venture, a new product or something offering. And he looked at me, he says, Daddy, we're not even doing that in our business. And I am, he used a fancy word, but he says, we're not going to do something, teach something that we're not doing. I said, you're absolutely right, son. So now we're putting that in place in our business first. And it might be a year before we start teaching it to our clients because we all need this thing, right? I love that you do it in your business, and we all need that. Yeah. What's the next step for a business owner who's laying in bed? They find themselves after listening to this podcast tonight, they're going to be laying in bed about 2:00 in the morning, staring up in the ceiling going, yeah, I'm feeling some pain. What should they do next? Do you have, like, I know you got a website, but I mean, is it a conversation with you? Do you have a blog? What's the next best step for a business owner who's just going, yeah, the light bulb's coming on. I think Ryan might be able to help me, or I definitely want more information.
Yeah. So we've just launched a new landing page. It's called p5rocket.com. And it's actually a virtual reality experience. You don't have to download software or anything like that. Go to p5rocket.com and you can walk around on your mobile device or on your computer. You can walk around and actually interact with the P5 rocket. There's a video on there. You can book a call on my calendar in virtual reality. If you watch this 2-minute video about these interactions and stuff, you can actually push the launch button and watch the P5 rocket launch into space in virtual reality. There's an information panel. I mean, we've kind of, I've gotten so excited about just like, all right, how do we get the word out about all this stuff? So, that's a great sort of starting point for people. And like I said, you can actually click a button in there where it says book call, and you can book a call right on my calendar to chat about some of the things you have and the questions. But and I'll send you the link, Michael, later. You can put it in the show notes or whatever. But p5rocket.com is a great place to start, and you kind of explore, walk around and see different things, interact with different objects and stuff to understand it a little better.
I love it. P5, P is in process, 5, because you've got 5 P's in your process to help business owners scale their business. I said it. But I said it because Ryan's one of the guys who can actually help you do that by aligning your purpose with your product, with your people, and your performance and your progress so that your rocket can go as high as you want it to go. Yeah, that's fascinating. Ryan, this has been a fascinating conversation. I love your energy. I love your passion. And I love how you get combining the visionary process with the process, combining those to bring alignment, because I think that really stops a lot of business owners. So thank you for what you do. Thanks for being here. P5rocket.com for a VR experience. And then reach out to Ryan Weiss, like nice, and you'll have a great conversation about how to take your business to the next level, but through alignment of your people and processes. Ryan, thank you. This has been fun.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Michael.